movies such as Avengers, Batman, or Spider-Man as a kid or even recently? Have you or a younger sibling ever found yourself trying to imitate their powers and save the world like they do? These kinds of superheroes affect the minds and actions of adolescents. There was a study done at the University of Massachusetts with 674 boys aged 4 to 18, which revealed that these boys admired two main role models, the slacker and the aggressive superhero. As you can tell, there are some negatives of superheroes being adolescents' role models, but there are also some positives. Learning about superheroes through books and comics encourages children to read. Also, superheroes do good deeds and have a positive message. This has a major impact on the youth in society because children do what they see, and if their role model does either good deeds or bad deeds, they would want to do it too. In a way, superheroes either have a good influence or a bad influence on a child's mind and attitude. Superheroes started off as a comic book and then later on to become successful animated series and realistic movies. Either way, whether they're reading it in a book, watching it on TV, or in a movie theater, reading or watching their favorite superhero affects their development and builds their skills for human interaction. Now I will be discussing comic history. Action Comics made their first appearance in the year 1938 with Superman, according to Comic Timeline. In 1963, released Iron Man's first comic book, according to Wikipedia. It is said by Eco that the concept of popular culture initiated the need for action comics because it would be an instrument for mainstream ideological reproduction. Early Marvel comics reflected a Cold War mentality, according to the Journal of Popular Culture. Rand states, "My philosophy, in essence, is the concept of a man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noble activity. This philosophy of man as hero is backed by metaphysical, epistemological, ethical, and political assumptions." Next, I will be discussing child development. Toddlers to preteens. The sounds and the language that they hear that they most are retained in the brain, and their brain has the ability to relearn sound. Children need to hear people talk to them about what they are seeing and experiencing in order for their brains to fully develop language, according to First Steps. Researchers found that when mothers frequently spoke to their infants, their children learned almost 300 words more by the age of 2. Reading to a child and pointing out pictures is the best way to get a child's interest in reading. Up until they learn how to read, they really don't know what they're interested in reading or if they really do enjoy reading. Pictures are the #1 attention grabbers for toddlers and preteens. Some comic books have more pictures than words, which catches the reader's attention at first glance. Comic books are an easy way to read, and the vocabulary is at a basic reading level, according to Jennifer Haynes. Children tend to imitate what they see, hear, and read. Some learning skills. By the age of 3, children begin to explore books independently, according to Kids Health. Children pick up picture books at a young age and sometimes continue to read these comic books in their preteen years of life. These pictures include comic books and books that they teach a child their alphabet, animals, and numbers and colors. A child's brain develops the most within the first 5 months of their life. They are able to retain information such as language and distinguish different types of sounds, according to First Steps. Next, I will be discussing human interaction. Some motor skills are watching and reading about an iconic figure that a child admires influences the way that they interact with other children and adults. It can also increase their vocabulary depending on the difficulty of the comic. Some people skills are, depending on the superhero, a child may pick up good or bad qualities of interaction. A child can pick up rudeness, ignorance, demanding, and stubbornness, for example, Iron Man and Batman. Iron Man, as you can see in the movie Iron Man 1 and 2 and 3, that he is very egotistical, he's only about his image, he takes bad advantage of women, and parents don't want their child seeing this and trying to reenact it. Also for Batman, he is a very standoffish personality, He looks down on others because of his wealth, as seen in other movies, and that's not a good example to set for children. A child can pick up good qualities, such as saying please and thank you, holding the door for others, and having good table manners, because being kind to others, being courageous, and having good leadership skills. An example of this is Iron Man in the movie Avengers. There's a lot of different personalities in each superhero, and they don't really get along in the beginning of the movie. Captain America has to bring them together with all their differences, and he problem solves and gets them all together, and they defeat the villain, which is a very good example for a child's problem solving skills and their leadership skills. The child may also pick up bad habits from watching their favorite superheroes if they display bad language and copying their lifestyle of character. For example, the lifestyle of being rich and having everything handed to them, and always being praised. The final topic I would be discussing is superheroes' influence on children. Children start to look at pictures by the age of 1, which means they are looking for bright colors and pictures only. They are not paying attention to the words. And comics are great for this because there's a lot of pictures and action and a lot of colors and not a lot of text. So that's one of the first books they pick up. The average child learns to read in kindergarten, and this is when children really begin to establish a role model according to Wiki. And they really look at comic books because it's a basic reading level. Superman was created by Jerry Siegel and artist Joe Shuster of Wiki. Ooh. He was created created during the Great Depression, and a lot of his stories are based on the war world, and a lot of them. Characteristics for a brave, kind-hearted hero, for justice and morality and righteousness is what Superman stood for. Iron Man was created by Stan Lee, and he is described as a billionaire playboy, industrialist, and indigenous engineer. He is a bad influence because he embodies aggression, sarcasm, narcissism, and hypermasculinity, according to John Space. In conclusion, superheroes have a big influence on adolescents and the way they develop through the years of life. In a way, superheroes have a big effect on the way our society is today. Teaching a child what good morals are.